Being grounded at work is really important and really helpful if you want to be successful, to finish what you're working on, to focus, and to complete whatever it is you need to complete in the workplace. And for a lot of people, it's kind of tricky to stay focused and grounded all day. And depending on your work environment, you'll either find it more challenging or easier. So, for example, if you work at home, being grounded at work is going to be a little bit simpler because you're in your own environment. You control all of the factors going on. You can get up anytime you want. You can switch projects, switch gears. But being grounded at work when you work in a corporate environment is pretty tricky. And what I've noticed is when you work for a company, they have their own agenda. So you basically leave your identity to a certain degree at home when you enter into their environment. And you work for them, so you have to go with their program, whether you like it or not. They have this motive, they have this idea of what they want to get done, and there's not a lot of room for individuality in most corporate environments. So there's also kind of a pack mentality that takes place at work. You'll notice that a lot of people kind of stick together in groups, or they form teams, they form partnerships or adversarial kind of partnerships where they're not getting along. So one thing that you can do to stay grounded at work is to make your environment as much like you as possible. And I'm so lucky that I don't have to work in a corporate office anymore, but I did have to do that for a long time. And I noticed that a lot of places don't like you to be individual. A lot of people in corporate environments aren't allowed to dress the way they want to dress, or wear the kind of jewelry that they want to wear, or have their hair the way that they really want it to be. But if you can personalize your workspace, if you can bring in objects that really speak to you about who you are. A classic example of this is I worked in a cubicle once, and it was awful. It was in the middle of everything, and it was really difficult for me to focus and stay grounded. I put a picture of this beautiful building in Spain by an architect that I love, Gaudi, and I put it on my cubicle wall and I would stare at it because the job was so boring. But staring at that picture really helped me to stay grounded, to remember who I am and what I really love. The building is called the Casa Batlló, and I would stare at that and think, someday I'm going to break out of here and I'm going to be in Spain, and this is all going to be a distant memory. And believe it or not, I found myself there in that reality. I created it, actually walked into it, and there I was in Spain looking at this building exactly from the same point of view as the photo I had in my workspace. And I had left that job, so it was like, yes, I made it happen. And that's what staying grounded means too, to remember who you are, to remember your identity and what you really want in your life versus what the corporation wants you to do for them. It's kind of tricky, but you can definitely do it. Other ways to stay grounded at work are to remember what your identity is and perhaps not buy into the pack mentality. In a lot of workplaces, for example, everyone will go out to lunch together. And you may want to do something else, but you just, say, okay, I'll just go out to lunch with you because that's what we do. And you migrate in packs with those people, and you become sort of like that group mentality. So if you're aware of that and you may not want that, maybe you have a different agenda or a different plan for your life, don't go out to lunch with everybody. Go do your own thing. For some people that's kind of hard because in a workplace they might think, well, you're not social, or you're strange, that you don't want to go out to lunch with us. But you are definitely allowed to have your own identity, especially on your own time. So by all means, do your own thing. And another thing that helps to stay grounded is to drink a lot of water, to stay really hydrated. It really helps you to kind of keep your energy high. If you're allowed to, and I know it's kind of nuts that some workplaces don't allow this, but if you're allowed to, get up and walk around. Get up, go leave the building. A lot of people go into a building for work and then they stay trapped in that environment for 8 to 10 hours, and that's not healthy. That's not grounding. That's not good for you. Get up, go outside, walk around the block, go to the break room, make some popcorn, eat something. If you can listen to your own music while you're working, that'll be very grounding. If you're allowed and you're interested in like more spiritual types of things, a lot of people I work with bring crystals to their workplace that help keep them centered and focused. Some people bring like aromatherapy, essential oils. Now different workplaces will have different policies as far as that goes, but those are some basic things that will help you stay grounded and focused while you're at work.